Gaptoothed Idiot to Screaming Stephen. Come in please, Screaming Stephen.
It's too windy to race, man. It's like a fucking hurricane.
Hang in there, Steve. It's probably just first race nerves.
It's not nerves, you asshole. It's blowing the car off of the goddamn road.
Think of the money, Steve. £10 million each. Come on, you can do this. Win this for us, mate. Catch you later.
A fraud which rocked the motorsport world. A series of illegal races arranged by ex-Lotus customer liaison officer, the Gaptoothed Idiot. Fraud, drugs, murder and sex. This is the story of the Esprit affair.
This is the last game in a successful racing series for Gremlin Graphics. Originally intended for the 16-bit home computers, the Lotus series has been ported across to any machine that is capable of having electricity pass through it. I'm pretty sure this was released on a Casio calculator watch. But Gaptoothed fucking imbecile, it is not much of a series if there's only 2 games, is it? Well, you're right, but you're also wrong. Lotus 2 is the 3rd in the series. The original Lotus game didn't get a release on the Megadrive, but its sequel, Lotus Turbo Challenge 2, did. But calling it Lotus Turbo Challenge 2 on the Megadrive didn't make much sense to, well, whoever, if there wasn't a Lotus Turbo Challenge 1. So they just called the second one the first one, and the third one the second one. Clear as mud? Good, let's move on. You know what, EA? We would have understood. Now this is merely a personal opinion, you folks may feel differently. Fight it out with me in the comments below, but my assertion is this. The Gran Turismo games changed everything. Those games are so good that they made older racing games almost unplayable. The Lotus games, however, as racing games, still stand up today. By no means do they touch Gran Turismo, naturally. It would be completely unfair to compare and contrast the two, but the fact that the driving mechanics in the Lotus games don't feel like you're trying to dock a high-speed ferry is testament to how good the initial programming is. Well, in my view anyway. Excuse me a moment while I check in with Screaming Stephen. I won't be a second. Steve, how's it going, lad? Did you win?
Yes, I won. No thanks to you, you fucking asshole. Why did you have the first race here? I'll contact you later. I gotta check for survivors, asshole.
Okay, Steve, good boy. Keep it up, mate. Catch you later, lad. Screaming Stephen makes a good point here. The race that he was just involved in is the first race on the easiest championship setting. Traditionally, the first race is the easiest of all races in the competition, giving the player the chance to get to grips with the car. When do you accelerate out of corners? How quickly can you throw the car into corners? How sharply can you change direction in overtaking maneuvers? That kind of thing. So why make this level the one where your car can get thrown off the track by Gusty fucking Blowy? This is the first impression the game makes on the player. This is like turning up to a blind date and the first thing your date says, "So, what do you think about dating a person without genitals?" Immediately you will lose interest because it strikes you as unlikely that you're going to get what you want out of this experience. But bear with it, players. Your date does in fact have genitals, and they are good genitals. Nice, clean, and a lot of fun. This is a common thing running through the game. There are bizarre production decisions which detracts from the good work done in the actual creation of a good racing game. It's baffling, and sadly I'll be coming back to that point again and again throughout this video. But I wouldn't write it off. This is a good racing game, despite how much effort has been put into trying to fucking ruin it.
In the early 1990s, Lotus hired the gap-toothed idiot to provide their customers with the thrills and excitement that went hand in hand with their image. After 2 successful years being a good employee, the gap-toothed idiot went rogue. His position in the company and his unrelenting greed led him to set up an illegal series of races unknown to Lotus. He contacted 20 of Lotus's highest earning customers with the most reckless gambling reputations. 20 competitors, each stumping up a £1 million entrance fee, with the winner pocketing a cool 19 million. The remaining million was agreed to be a payment to the idiot, but that wasn't enough for him. He wanted all of the 20 million. He entered disgraced racing driver Screaming Stephen Simpson, banned from racing for parking in a mother and toddler bay at the supermarket twice. Screaming Stephen would use his skill on the track to try and take home the pot. But what nobody could have predicted was that the talents that the gap-toothed idiot had would be used off it.
Hello? How's it going, Steve? Well done in the race today, mate. Well, how close did he come to getting first place from us? Don't worry, I'll take care of it. Shock news in the world of entertainment today as we learned of the untimely death of much-loved children's entertainer Mr. Spoon. Police say that he lost control of his Lotus Esprit in the early hours of Sunday morning, crashing into a dike in Swine's Head. Mr. Spoon's next of kin have been informed as tributes from the entertainment industry pour in. Gap-toothed idiot to Screaming Stephen. Gap-toothed idiot to Screaming Stephen. Come in, please, lad.
Screaming Stephen here!
Well, are you happy now? Because I've checked the weather and there's not a breath of wind out there. There's not enough wind to blow the froth off your cappuccino.
You fucking dick! It's pitch black out here!
Well, I couldn't very well have the race during the daytime now, could I? There'd be loads of cars about. There'd be a fucking accident. Honest to God, Steve, sometimes you're so selfish. Catch you later.
You fucking...
I'll try not to dwell too much on the negative aspects of the game. Anyway, Gremlin Graphics got so many of the important things right. The most important thing, they got right. Speed. This game is fucking quick. The speed can get very intense. In a lot of stages, you can bring your Esprit up to mind-boggling speeds, way past plaid.
What the hell was that?
Nothing cranks up the anxiety of this speed, quite like travelling at 250 kilometers an hour into a series of quick corners. Oh my god, it's good, and it feels good. We'll have the player's asshole flickering like the shutter on a paparazzi's camera outside the window of a celebrity orgy. It is frantic, exactly the way it should be. How's the race going, Steve? Good lad, keep her lit, boyo. Having the speed being exciting and the control of the car being pretty good were the two main foundations for Lotus 2 to take on its rivals, of which there were not many in 1993. The only racing game coming out that year to the standard of Lotus 2 was a similarly established brand and another EA release, the superb Road Rash 2. Although the sublime Mario Kart had just come out the year before, but hey, this game's for grown-ups. Lotus 2 didn't just have to compete with other racing games in 93, it also had to compete with its own family. The legacy laid down by the much loved Lotus Turbo Challenge meant that Gremlin Graphics couldn't just update its predecessor, it had to give it something new. And by God they went for it big time. From the people who brought you Lotus Turbo Challenge 2, or if you're a Sega owner, Lotus Turbo Challenge, comes a new racing experience. New for Lotus 2, they brought in new cars, the gorgeous Esprit SE, the orgasmic 92 Elan, and the Lotus M200 concept car, which is the illegitimate child of Adam West's Lincoln Futura Batmobile and a speedboat.
Let's go faster. You see that sign, Robin? Speed limit, 5 miles an hour. A good driver always observes the speed laws. It's the best way to stay out of trouble. You're right.
New track conditions, all weathers, all track surfaces, whether they really exist or not. New choice of in-game soundtracks, keeping the tradition going of adrenaline-soaked music from the older games. New race environment construction kit, which is piss, which is just pure piss. A new tournament mode. In the end, all this new gubbins wasn't enough to get the gaming press on side, who just thought of it as more of the same Lotus racing shenanigans. I disagree, because they injected something that this ball bag cries out for in any sports game. I want a fucking trophy! The Tournament Mode Edition is something that the series greatly needed. The first two games were arcade racing affairs, hit the checkpoints on time or die, and while this has its place, and it's still an option in Lotus 2, competing in a tournament is way better. With the choice of 3 difficulty levels to tackle, the tournament on this expands the game greatly. I love it! And it is in this tournament that our friend Steven is racing in. I should probably hit him up. Gaptooth Daddy at the Screaming Stephen, Gaptooth Daddy at the Screaming Stephen. Come in please, Steve. Can I put money down on a yacht yet?
Yeah, good to hear from you, boy. We're going well. That's the first 2 races, 40 points on the board. If my luck holds out, we can be snorting uncut cocaine off a ladyboy's hot cock this time next week.
You do what you want with your money, mate. Gaptooth Daddy it out. Coke. Blech. Moving on to the presentation of the game. It is toned way down from the Amiga and Atari ST version. Whether this is something to do with hardware limitations, software limitations, or time constraints, I have no idea. Even if you haven't seen the Amiga version, you can tell that this game did not receive a coat of gloss. Let's go back to our first date. I have no genitals, but I have a leather glove filled with wet gummy bears that you can fuck. It'll do the job, but I was kind of hoping for something with a bit more love to it. This is how I'm choosing to describe the visuals in this game. I don't feel good saying that because somehow it feels like a lot of effort has gone into the game. This is just a re-skimming of the older Lotus games. I'm going to give it the benefit of the doubt and suggest that the graphics were sacrificed to some extent so that the new features could be squeezed onto the cartridge. I hope that's the case, but I strongly suspect that it had more to do with getting it onto shelves as quickly as possible. I wonder what our lame racing driver thinks of it. Gap 230 at the Screaming Stephen, Gap 230 at the Screaming Stephen. Come in please, Screaming Stephen.
What the fuck do you want? I'm busy, you goddamn dickhead.
Hi Steve, can you tell me what you're looking at right now? What do you think of how everything looks? Is it a little lackluster maybe, or what do you think of the scenery and the cars?
Cars look like colourful harmonicas. Now fuck off. I'm trying not to die here.
Good point, he's a little busy. Where he doesn't have a good point is saying that the esprits in the game look like colourful harmonicas. I mean, this is the back of a 92 Lotus Esprit. How could the programmers have made this look like anything other than what it looks like? Too harsh, Steve. Too harsh. On the plus side for the graphics, it really does the heavy lifting in making this game feel fast. Lacking in beauty as they may be, they serve their purpose well. And also, hills! Smooth hills! This is something that was often a struggle for racing games to do well up to this point, especially on consoles of the day. They often look choppier than Bruce Lee and Daniel LaRusso dicing root veg, but this game is nailing it. The graphics are more than compensated for by a truly awesome soundtrack. I've got to give a shout out to the composer Patrick Phelan here. Top work, old boy, top work. Okay, the complaints I have about the production decisions in this game are hanging over my head like the spectre at the feast. So I'm just going to get it all off my chest in one fell swoop. Something I would like to call the fuck you list.
You know what? Okay. They fuck you at the drive-thru, okay? They fuck you at the drive-thru. They know you're gonna be miles away before you find out you got fucked.
Okay. They fuck you with a difficulty level. It's not the game that's hard, it's that it's so unbalanced. The player's car is way faster than any of their opponents, and to compensate for that, the decision was made to handicap the player's challenge in many ways. Number 1, they fuck you with a fuel tank. Our car is the only one that needs to pit in. We are the only driver in any of the races that will run out of fuel. Predictably, when you pit in, you lose many places, and in most of the races, you are unlikely to be able to claw those places back. So half the time you're fucked. Number 2, they fuck you with collisions. Collisions only affect your car, and by fuck a tap will stop your car dead faster than when you see the marks on the road to indicate that you are in the capture range of a speeding camera and you're going a bit too fast. Drop anchor! Number 3, they fuck you to the back of the grid at the beginning of any race. I know it says 11th position here, but every single car will overtake us here, and then we'll have to fight our way past them all. Number 4, they fuck you at the start of the next race into 20th place if you won the last race. Why is the player being punished for previous successes? Fuck off. Number 5, they fuck you with objects on the road. The only car in the race that this will affect is once again your car. Number 6, the biggest complaint I have, one that I hate so much that it gives me fucking energy. These fucking lasers. The fuck you with these motherfucking cunt fuck lasers. In the future, that's right, this is in the future. In the future, the roads will have huge fucking lasers that go off intermittently. There is no way to avoid them. There is no rhyme or reason why they go off. They'll just go off and zap your car into a fucking tree. Why? Why is this a feature? Why are there so many elements in these races which are not racing related that can fuck up your entire progress? Why put this into a game, Gremlin Graphics? Once again, they will only hit your car, and you will be unlikely to be able to regain the places you lost because of blind fucking chance. Number 7, the most savage of them all. If you don't finish in 10th place or better, your tournament is over. It doesn't matter if you won every race. If you're sitting at the top of the leaderboard, if you finish in 11th place once, game over. Why? Why is this a feature? Do you encourage the player to finish 10th or better? We're playing a fucking racing game. We're already motivated to finish as high as we can. Fuck off! These production decisions just baffle me. How did the team working on this look at what they'd created and say, hey, this is a damn good racing game, let's throw in a lot of features to fuck it up? This is like you or I making a huge delicious chocolate cake and at the 11th hour deciding, this is a real nice cake, but it's missing barbed wire and broken glass. Fucking why? Good evening, Miami. This is Paul Best with the news for the region on Radio Miami. At the top of the hour, 9 o'clock. An anonymous tip off to law enforcement this evening has led to a seizure of heroin estimated to have a street value of over $2 million. It has been confirmed that police have arrested one individual in connection with the haul, 80s children entertainer and ex-master of the universe, Orko. Legal representative for Orko, Chris Stanley, has told Radio Miami that Orko denies all charges and he will prove his innocence in a court appearance later this week. Despite the fuck you list being so very, very long, it doesn't overwhelm the positives of the gameplay and the speed. It also has this RECS, the Race Environment Construction System, and the projecting this is kind of a big deal where you can design your own racetracks, allegedly. But this is essentially a pile of bollocks. You can't do more with it than is already laid out in the tracks. And all I want to do with it is remove all the ridiculous shit lying in the middle of the tracks and drive a reasonable race. But that's not an option. It's a feature that teeters on the edge of joining the fuck you list, but seeing as how it's completely avoidable, it can remain in the bucket of bollocks. All in all, this is a good racing game on the Megadrive. It's very cheap to pick up. The split-screen 2-player option is a lot of fun, if for nothing else than seeing your guest player explode in frustration at the wanky obstacles scattered around the road. It's fast, beautifully fast, and better than decent driving fun. Recommended, definitely. So let's see how my millions in waiting are doing. Gap 230 at the Screaming Stephen, Gap 230 at the Screaming Stephen. Come in please, Screaming Stephen.
The Gap 238 and Screaming Stephen were convicted of embezzlement, race fixing, intimidation of witnesses and non-payment of the TV licence, for which both were sentenced to 15 years in prison. The Gap 238 was charged with the murder of Mr. Spoon and for planting drugs on Orko, for which he received a further 2 life sentences. He's also suspected of drugging, kidnapping and murdering Grumpy Bear, whose body has not yet been found. Lotus esprits are still cool as fuck. Thank you very much for watching this very, very, very long review of Lotus 2. I love you long time if you subscribe to my channel, and I really do love reading those comments, so share your thoughts with me. You can hit me up on the socials, following me on Twitter will slightly brighten your day. I guarantee that. And that's all for this evening. Good night!